Hey there, I'm Joseph, your Web3 dev, and in this video I will show you how you can build a chatbot using XMTP. Later on in the video I will explain and show you how you can add Lens protocol into it to evolve this dApp, but for this specific example we have excluded Lens protocol and we're only using Nextjs, TailwindCSS, and XMTP. Before we dive into the code, let me demonstrate how the app actually works. So we haven't connected our wallet right here, so that's why we can see this message, but by clicking this button we can actually connect our MetaMask wallet, and then we will be able to see the connected address right there. So once reloading, we can see that we can connect this MetaMask wallet to XMTP. Let's do that by clicking the button and then signing this message over on MetaMask, and there we have it. We have the chat box right here, and we can now start chatting with this chatbot. So let's say hi, send this, and we can see that we're getting a response back. Now this is the only response we're getting back because we're following this guide by XMTP right here. They have the starter repo project that you can use, and then they explain the different steps that are happening within this application. Now I've modified it a little bit to make it look the way we want it to, and you can do the same by following the exact code I will share with you very soon. So if you're excited to build this, stay tuned and I will show you exactly how you can do it. Let's get straight into it. Open a terminal and create a new Next.js application by using the command npx create next app at latest, and we're going to name this XMTP chat. Hit no on TypeScript and yes on all the other ones besides the last one. Once it's finished, cd into that directory and install XMTP.js library along with ethers. That's the only two dependencies we need, so let's open the application in Visual Studio Code. And from here we can close this welcome message, open the src folder, and within the app folder we have page.js. Let's remove everything, and this is the only code we're going to need inside this component. So we're going to import two components, the header and the logged in, which we haven't created yet, and then we're having this home function that returns these two components. So hit save, create a new folder within the app folder called components, and let's start by creating this header component right here. So let's create a new file called header.js and add the following code. So in this component, we're gonna import another component that we yet haven't created as well. And this will be the next component we're going to create. And this is the header. So it contains some styling. It contains the text, the XMTP chat, and then the connect button itself. So hit save and create a new component right here called connect wallet.js. And let's add the following code. We're going to go through this step by step, but let's start by importing useEffect and useState, then declare the only state variable we need in this component, the current account, which will be once someone connects their wallet address is going to be stored in this variable, which is an empty string to begin with. So the first thing we do when we render this component is to check if a wallet is connected, and the function is down here. So we use window.ethereum.request to store what we get back inside this accounts variable, and then we check if the length is not equal to 0. That means that we have something, someone is connected. So we're taking the first item within that array and store it inside account, and then we store this account variable in the setCurrentAccount state variable, the one we created up here. But now if this is equal to 0, then we're going to console log no authorized account is being found. You could easily change this message, maybe have an alert or have a text showing on the screen. That's maybe easier. For this example, this works perfectly. So what do we want to do next? We check if this one has value. We do that down here. So we check first if it doesn't have the value. We're going to render this button, the connect wallet button, that has an onClick function. Now let's get back to this soon because I want to go through this part first. If we do have a current account, we display the address of it. And I'm slicing it and formatting it a bit so we don't need to show the whole address. But as I said, if we aren't connected, we're going to display this connect wallet button. And once you click that, we're going to run this connect wallet function, which is up here. So what do we do here? We extract Ethereum out of window, and then we do the same request as we did down here and store the response within this accounts variable. And then we can set the value to the state variable. We're actually doing the same. So here first we take the first item within the array and store it in account, and then we take this account variable and store it in this state variable. But here we're skipping this step and we're doing it immediately right here. So these are two different ways of doing it. The one is shorter and the one is more maybe descriptive, so to say. And if something goes wrong within this try catch, we are going to console log this error right here. And that's all we need. We can hit save and close this one down. So the header component is set as well. So let's close that one. And the next component we want to create is this logged in component. Now this one will control what's rendered and what we display once a user is connected. So let's go on and create that component right here. So it's gonna be logged in.js. And let's paste this code in right here and go through this one line by line. So at first we import useEffect, useRef, and useState, and then we import client from the XMTP-JS library that we installed, and also ethers by the ethers library. We also import this chat component that we will create after we went through this first, and then here we have this peer address, which is the address of the chatbot. Now, essentially, you would want to change this and maybe have this be more dynamic so you can create chats within XMTP with different users. Next up, we have a few state variables. We have the current account, we have the messages, which is null to begin with. We have conv-ref and client-ref, and then we have the signer and is on network. So the first thing we want to do here as well is to check if a wallet is connected. We've already went through this part right here in the previous component, so we're not gonna do it here as well, but here you have the code. It's the exact same thing as we did before. We actually have two use effects. So in the second one, we check if is on network and conref.current is true, and then we run this stream messages function, which streams new messages in the conversation basically. And this use effect has a two dependencies, so the messages and is on network. So we will run all of this every time one of these two changes. And since we're going to send messages, this will change every time we send something new. So we will be able to see that new message within the chat. Now let's go to the bottom because we have two more functions right here, but let's start down here. So we have a section first and we check if the current account isn't logged in, then we're gonna display that it's not logged in. If it is logged in, then we're going to check if it has connected to XMTP. If it doesn't, we're gonna display this button to be able to connect. This is the exact thing we did in the UI. So once we click the connect to XMTP, we're going to run this init XMTP function right here, which will initialize the XMTP client. So we're creating a client first, and then on load, we get all the conversation with the good morning bot. And then we set the XMTP client in state for later use and to be able to set the client in the ref. And that's what we're doing right here. Now, if we scroll down a little bit more, we can see that if we have the current account and is on network and messages, then we're going to render this chat component that we will soon create. We're going to pass along these three parameters to it. So the client, the conversation, and the message history. So let's go on and create that one next. Before we go on and create that chat component, you can see in this new conversation function, which is run right here, when we want to create or we want to load the conversation with the good morning bot, we run this function that loads the existing messages within this conversation. And we either create a new conversation with that address or right here, or we load the messages that already exist. And if something would go wrong, that's what we console log right here, that we can't actually display the messages. Now let's go on and create the last component, which will be the chat.js one. So we're doing a few things within this component. So first, we take these three parameters, the client, the message history, and the conversation, which we sent or passed along from the LinkedIn.js component. And then let's start actually at the bottom where we render everything. We have this section that contains this message list component, which we define above. I will show you soon. But we also have this input field that has an on key up handler, which runs the handle input change, and an on change handler, which runs the same function. And then we have the button with the send text that has an on-click handler to the handle send. So let's actually start with this handle input change function, which is right here. So it takes this event and it checks if we hit the button enter, then we run handle send. Otherwise, we set input value to that value that we actually have within this input field. And once we hit enter, we run this handle send function, which is up here, and it takes that input field that we set down here, right here, and it takes that one and it runs the on send message with that input field, and then it empties the input field. So this is basically how we send messages to our conversation. So we take that conversation from here and we run the send function to add that value, that input field message from right here. And then we have this message list function, which we run down here, this component. So it passes along the message history into it, and it takes that as a parameter right here. And this function renders a list of all the messages. And down here, we want to filter the messages by its unique ID, so we can sort them and display them beautifully in the correct order. And when we return an unordered list with mapping through these messages and creating a list item for each and every message, along with who sent it, so either we did or the bot, and then we display the message, and we also display the time it was sent, formatted beautifully to make sure it looks the way we want to. So that's all we need. We can hit save on this one, and we can actually try this out. So pop up the terminal once again and run npm run dev. Then go back to the browser, reload this page. I have disconnected my wallet, so we can see that I haven't logged in yet. So let's connect the wallet, reload, and there we have the connect to XMTP button. So let's click this one, pop up MetaMask, so we can sign this message. And there we have the chat with the previous messages. Let's type a hello this time with a smiley, hit enter. And there we have it, our message along with the bot's response. A quick and easy video on how you can create a chatbot using the XMTP protocol along with Nextjs and TailwindCSS. Now, if you want a challenge, you can add Lens protocol into this and look for which Lens handles actually have connected their wallet address to XMTP and start chatting with them instead of chatting with this bot. Otherwise, I hope you enjoyed this quick little video. Make sure you smash the like button, subscribe to the channel, and I hope I will see you in the next video.